We're here in Barcelona with Kyle Langford, trimmer for American Magic Team, challenger of this 37th America's Cup edition. Kyle, today south-southwest winds with an asymmetrical sea. Can you please break down the day for us?
Yeah, so we left the dock at 2 o'clock and it took quite a bit of time for the breeze to build, and the forecast was a little up in the air, but fortunately we got some breeze in the end, and we sailed in about 7 to 12 knots, and the breeze was a little bit further left of the typical sea breeze direction, and but we managed to get some good racing in, a couple of pre-starts, and it was a little confused with the sea state, which made things a little bit difficult, particularly when the breeze was on the lighter side, but overall it was a good day.
During the pre-start, that you're making so many maneuvers in a very short period of time, and also like today that was difficult sea to sail with this wind. Do you split functions in between trimmers differently than when you're sailing after the start?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we're still playing around with, and you know, for this whole period we're trying to figure out how to configure the 75, which is in the shed behind us here. So, you know, a big part of it is, you know, how do we split the rolls up, and that's something that we're still testing between the two boats, and you know, each race we can kind of change the configuration as to who's doing what, because we've got quite a lot of functionality on the boat in each position, and yeah, I mean, it makes it difficult to get some consistency with the racing, because you see a couple of times we do a manoeuvre and we fall off the foil, and that's just a bit of the nature of getting used to the position and the sequence of how you know, pull off that manoeuvre.
According to the latest component declaration, today you were launching a new version from the main MC4. We could see a new window in the bottom of the sail. There was anything else being modified?
No, just the windows. You know, the visibility in these boats is not great, particularly when you have, you know, split helmsman as well, and so it just kind of helps, you know, visually see the other boat, which is, you know, we know is important in a pre-start as well. So, you know, with match racing. So, yeah, I mean, just the windows are just there to improve visibility, and it's pretty nice.
About the jibs, both boats were sailing with custom 1.5 jibs today. Were they also new versions?
No, the jibs weren't new versions. We've used them before. I mean, we have windows in the jibs as well. And, you know, again, that's just to help with visibility, because you are, you know, it's interesting with these boats that you almost have two teams, and there's a lot of communication back and forth trying to paint the picture of what's happening with the boat when they're to leeward of you or to windward, and the other side of the boat can't see. And so, you know, just trying to eliminate a bit of communication by having a bit of vision is a pretty nice feature.
I'm here with Nathan Outridge. Emirates Team New Zealand have just completed day 74 in the LEQ on the Hauriki Gulf. Beautiful conditions out on the water today with light winds, doing some practice races with the AC40. How did the session go?
It was a great session. We've been waiting for weather like this for a while. We've had, you know, the youth and women out sailing on the One Design boat, and today we had like a nice 8 to 12 knot kind of sea breeze come in, bang on timing for what we were looking to do, and got a number of practice starts in, and yeah, just starting to get, you know, prepared for our two boat sailing.
I noticed the AC40 had a J1 and seemed to have some extra low-end grunt when it got lighter. That must make things easier in the start sequences when doing some manoeuvres.
Yeah, well, they went out a bit earlier than us to try and get a little bit of a warm-up. ahead of the racing. So they started on the 1 because it was pretty light. And I think when we started to go into the practice starts, it was probably J2 conditions, but still kind of on the crossover. So yeah, definitely the bigger jib makes the starting a little bit easier, and dug them out of some holes at times. But as soon as it got a bit windier, they quickly switched and matched on the J2.
Are you able to, or do you ever communicate with the other boat while you're doing the practice racing?
Oh, we only give them hand gestures when they're in our way. No, all our comms are sort of through the chase boat, and we sort of run 2 independent programs there.
If you were to line up against your AC75 from the previous America's Cup with your new AC75 soon to be launched, is there a specific area that you expect to see the biggest gain in performance from the last generation?
Oh, I think the biggest performance gain with the new boat will be the light air performance. The boats are lighter, the foils have a bit more span because of the rule. So we'll find out in a few weeks exactly how much faster it is in those conditions. But I think, talking to most teams, and you should look at the rule, a lighter boat, more span on the foils will help in the light air performance.
Soon you'll have some extra crew on the boat with the addition of the cyclaws. What's it like settling into a new routine or rhythm with more people on board while sailing?
Yeah, obviously it's quite different when you go to the big boat with the extra people on board. Our cycling group's been training hard ever since we stopped sailing boat 2 in October last year in Barcelona. And it kind of feels like we've almost been 2 separate teams for the last few months. So it'll be good to get back on board with everyone once again. Obviously they've been working really hard in the gym, working on their fitness and, getting ready for the few weeks we've got ahead sailing the big boat. And, they're ready to come back and join us on the on-water operations. It's a pretty dark shed at times for them when they're just in the hurt locker. So hopefully we can get some great sailing in the coming weeks, and they can enjoy the on-water atmosphere as well.
Awesome. And final question, when you make the jump from the AC40 to the 75, as a driver, is everything less sensitive with the boat being bigger and heavier? Or could you describe the overall difference in feeling between sailing the 2 boats?
Yeah, obviously the bigger boat is heavier and things move quite a bit slower. It's manually powered instead of battery power, so sometimes things don't move as fast as what you'd like, so you've got to think ahead a little bit more in terms of how you do the power management on the boat. But probably the biggest thing is just the sheer power that the boat can generate and the inertia the boat has. So, the 40s are a little bit harder to control in terms of heel. I think the flight controllers have to work a lot harder on the 40 than they do on the big boats. So, ultimately these are really good training boats for us to get better at the handling side. And when you get into the bigger boat, even though it, looks like it should be harder, it's probably actually easier. So, perfect training boats, the 40s.